Hi, everybody. Welcome to Amigos. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today, Aaron, we're talking about California Games 2. Now, Aaron, I'm gonna give you a little quiz, okay?
All
Since
right.
we're talking about California,
All
to see
right.
how many of these lyrics you can fill in, okay?
All right.
Well, East Coast girls are hip. I really dig.
The styles they wear,
That's right. The Southern girls with the way they
walk. No,
no talk. They
talk.
knock me out while I'm not there. The Midwest farmers' daughters really.
Make you feel all right.
And the Northern girls with the way they kiss.
They keep their boyfriends warm at night.
Bam!
Listen,
you're an expert. You're an expert.
It's a David Lee Roth version in my mind. You know, I was gonna ask you. I've got a question for you, Bud, this week. We're changing the role here. So this is California Games 2, right? These are the games. This is another set of games that they play exclusively in California, right?
Right.
So it got me to thinking, right? We've had world games, we had summer and winter games, all that stuff. Now we've got California games. So, like, what would the West Virginia games be?
Boy, I think we'd have to have clogging. Clogging as a competitive sport.
Yes. Like, it'd be exhaustion level. Whoever falls down first.
Well, I was thinking about if you combine the sport of log rolling and clogging together, you're clogging on a log that's rolling, you know?
It'd be logging.
That's right. That's right. So that's what I would pick as my West Virginian game. What about you?
Well, I'm trying to think. So, what is West Virginia famous for, right? We've got clogging's in there, and pepperoni rolls are in there. And then, I mean, I don't want to get into the drug thing, but I guess you could do something with that in there.
I guess you could. I mean.
But I think the one thing was, and this plays into something that actually happened, it's a legitimate story. It's not folklore. It's what old John Henry beat that machine at coal mine. Remember that?
Yeah, John Henry was a steel driving man.
That's right. And so I think we need to have some sort of each guy gets a pick, and whoever can get through the coal mine the quickest, that's your winner. So it's competitive mining. It's my choice.
Just don't do it up near Hawk's Nest. It won't end well.
A little local humor there, Bo.
There you go. Yeah.
Now if just
not really humor, but
could you pick? If you pick, I want you to pick a random state and tell me what their game would be.
A random state?
Just any state you want. Like, what would their game be?
Well, you know, I used to live in Virginia Beach. I used to live in this town called Newport News, right? Yeah. So what I would do is I would have a newspaper delivery competition, aka real life paper boy. Just have thousands of kids on bikes just flinging papers at every house, breaking everything in sight.
So you don't want it to be like the obstacle course in Paperboy.
No.
You want it to be like an actual street where they try to is it trying to destroy stuff or be accurate?
No, you're still trying to be accurate, but you know that 8,000 boys on paper, or they could be girls, you know, are just going to be flinging papers. They're trying their hardest, but stuff's getting broken.
Why hasn't anybody done that? That's a revelation, and you came up with on this show. That needs to happen. Competitive paperboying.
Yeah.
I love that. That's outstanding, Bo.
I'll tell you what is also outstanding, Aaron. Not this game. Let's talk about California games.
Oh, man. California Games 2. Do you remember how long it's been since we looked at California Games 1? It's been a while, hasn't it?
Boy, have we looked at California Games 1 on Amigos? I can't remember.
I think we did. Somebody can check out and look. So let's talk about California Games 2. You know if it's a 2, it's gold. Speaking of gold, published by U.S. Gold.
Yeah, they've never done anything wrong.
In 1992. Developed by an outfit called Creative Materials. That sucks.
That's not the best
name. They were
name.
working off of a copyright from Epyx. Creative Materials. So I looked at the credits on this, and it's funny. The Amiga version of this is credited on Lemon to Paul Dunning. Paul Dunning on the Amiga was responsible for Impossible Mission 2025. We got to look at that this year.
Oh
It's
yeah.
Impossible Mission 2025. I think we're on that mission in real life. Operation Harrier, Pirates Gold CD32 edition, and Shinobi. And the music for this was done by David Lowe, Down Low. He's famous for the #1 song and game example you always see, which is the tune from Frontiers Elite 2. That was him. He also did a bunch of the games. He did the Games Summer Edition, Summer Games, Winter Games, a bunch of those. He also did Arcade Plus, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and Turbo Outrun, and a bunch of other stuff. So David Lowe, we've seen him many, many times pop up on the show. But it turns out that Paul Dunning, what he did was he took the PC version of this game, retouched the PC graphics for the Amiga palette, and then the animation for the PC version was redefined for the Amiga. So in essence, Paul Dunning was sort of like converting it over from the original DOS. So this was absolutely, even in '92, we were getting ports from the PC, and this is one of them. This particular game was based on the 1990-ish release. This one came out on DOS in '90, so you're talking 2 years later, and it was based on the PC/Tandy release. This also got released, but I didn't. Did you know that this came out on the Super Nintendo? I had no idea.
I did.
Have you played that?
Yes, I remember hating it then, just like I hate it now.
It also, of course, came out, like I mentioned, on DOS in '90, Atari ST, and in '93, it was a long Hail Mary because it was time to port it to the Sega Master System for some reason. I don't know why.
So those Brazilian sales they were after.
Yeah. There was a Lynx version of this that was announced and previewed, but it was never released. And I should mention, this is an important point, that in 1992, for this game that came out in 1990 on DOS, they wanted you to pay £26 for this bad boy. This is the big money, £26 boat. So, what would you say your opinion of Summer Games 1 is, Boat?
Well, I would assume you mean California Games.
I mean, yes, excuse me. Your opinion of California Games 1.
California Games is probably my favorite games game.
Right.
If you look at the amount of quality versus the amount of approachability, it's got that perfect balance of enough events that you can get into without really having to know what you're doing.
You could name, like, for me, I could name 3 games that I thought were real good out of that series. Yeah, I liked Surfing was great.
Yeah.
I liked Hacky Sack, and I liked Flying Disc. I'm that guy.
Those are all my favorites, but I like, on the 2600 version, I also like mountain biking. The 2600 version of California Games is highly unsung. It is fantastic. If you've never played it, you should.
I'm pretty sure I did, but I don't remember anything about it, so maybe I need to go back. So, I thought this was interesting. So I looked in the docs. The docs from this are renowned for the crappery, right?
Yeah.
Here's your intro. Did you look at these docs at all?
I did. I was highly disappointed by them.
So the introduction, it says, and I'm just going to read this verbatim. I want you to soak this in. Yo, dudes and dudettes. Welcome back to California, land of fun and games. Get ready for the ultimate sequel. California Games 2, it's time for fun in the sun as you play some events. And this is the way the manual just keeps going on like this, with that kind of speak. Something else I thought was interesting before we get into the meat of it. This came out 2 years after the PC version, okay? But they share the same docs, and to a certain degree. But one of the things this did have was the PC system requirements I thought were interesting. So to play this in 1990 on a PC, you had to have a 5 1/4 or 3.5-inch disk drive. It says a hard drive is helpful, but not necessary. You've got to have a PC that has at least 512K RAM, right? You've got to have DOS 2 or greater, okay? And if you've already got DOS 4, special instructions. You've gone too far. Joystick optional, and all the documentation is specifically for keyboard. And then lastly, in terms of graphics, you've got to have VGA, EGA, Tandy, CGA, or Hercules monochrome is supported mode. So that's a pretty good stretch of things.
Yeah.
You start out on what did you think of this opening menu screen, Bode?
You know, in the first California games, you don't get any sort of graphical representation of the event you're about to do. Like, you just basically have a text screen, as far as I can remember. California games too, they give you a very well drawn beachfront scene. You've got some teenagers that are hanging out by a Volkswagen Beetle, a convertible, a cabrio, if you will.
Not featured.
Yeah, not featured in the
Disappointingly.
game, unfortunately. And they're all inviting you to do their particular event. And so what you do is you select the person and then you hit enter and then you can practice the event. If you want to compete, then you go down to the enter competition, you put in your name, and then you can compete in all the events. I thought this was okay. This may be the best part of the game.
You could tell someone broke out the deluxe paint or equivalent to crank this thing up. It looks okay. It is funny that some of this stuff's just sitting on the beach. For example, the watercraft there, you got to drag that thing into the water, the jet ski, and then the hang glider's not worth much in its current spot either.
Right,
But we'll get to that. A lot of people, as I read, hated this screen. And one of the reasons they hate it is it doesn't tell you what the stuff is until you mouse up, until you put your joystick over it.
Yeah.
So that sucks. Also, added bonus, it's a sign that says DOS Highway. So it didn't even change. It just dumps you to your workbench if you go there.
Well, I thought about that, and I was wondering because Amiga has DOS, they just don't call it DOS, right?
Well, yeah, but it doesn't drop you. You're talking about the CLI. It doesn't drop you there. It drops you back on workbench. Because I tried it. Yeah.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah. So they couldn't even go and edit that because that's pretty chintzy. So let's talk about these events, Boater, and you mentioned them there. The various events. This game has multiple events. You've got bodyboarding, hang gliding, jet surfing, skateboarding, and snowboarding. Okay. Now I've got my favorites. The first one we'll talk about is hang gliding. But how did you get on with hang gliding, where you take your bikini girl, jump her off a cliff, and send her out into the out over the ocean? How did you fare in this one?
Well, I assume that in this game, the object is to take off, fly out over a series of targets, drop water balloons on the targets, turn around, and then land back safely on the mountainside.
Right, and do tricks.
Yeah, and there are also tricks. This is a game that could have been a lot better if you wouldn't have had to turn around. If you could have just hand glid across the targets, then landed safely on the other side. Yeah, that's the proper past tense.
You're kidding me. And glid? Oh, I believed you. Dadgummit.
If you keep flying to the right in this game, you will fly to the right to infinity, which I guess is accurate when you consider that you're flying over the ocean. I mean, maybe eventually you'll hit like Great Britain or something.
That'd be awesome. You land over there.
You're in California, so you're gonna hit China or someplace like that.
Yeah.
And so but anyway, I was unable to come back. I was able to hit the targets with the water balloons, but I was never, ever able to land safely again on the mountainside. I tried every conceivable angle I could think of. I became quite adept at piloting the craft itself. I just could never figure out exactly what they wanted me to do to land back on the mountain. So there you go.
Well, I'll tell you, the first probably 7 times I tried this, I just plummeted to my death immediately.
Because you didn't watch the windsock, right?
I did. Well, I looked at the docks. The docks, I want to reiterate, they suck. That's not hyperbole. They're garbage. They tell you nothing. And so, but eventually you realize you have to sort of hold the joystick in the right direction and kind of get and you have to watch the windsock to make sure you take off at the right time. Once you're airborne, you can start trying to figure out how to fly this sucker. And once you're airborne, it's a lot safer, if you can believe it, because you've got time to kind of figure it out. The control in the hang glider is not, I wouldn't call it intuitive, that's for sure. But I mean, like boats, you can sort of get the hang of it. There's some way you could do loops, but I never did one. But every time the guy would always ask me about it, I was like, I don't know how to do it. I did land successfully one time, Boat.
Okay.
You can believe it.
Can you recall how you did it?
Well, what you have to do is gain altitude, and here's my problem with this game. Just when I thought I'd figured out how to control it, I didn't understand how to control it. So trust me when I tell you, I would still plummet to my death often, having tried to do the exact same thing I just did to take off, including
Mm.
watching the windsock. But you can see if you're watching the video how this guy's going up. That's basically the way I did it. Because to
Mm.
gain altitude, you have to sort of like dive down and pull up, dive down and pull up. Sometimes it doesn't seem to work right, but it worked right. It worked right for me at least one time, and then you get a bonus for landing.
I would hope
Which is,
so.
as opposed to dying.
Considering yeah, I was gonna say, considering the alternative is a hospital bill,
We
they should give you a few points if you land successfully.
we should mention that this is probably the only game where you could physically get killed in multiple games.
Oh yeah.
Like in this one, I promise you, if you go up that side of that hill and nosedive, you're dead. There's no
Mhm.
hospital ride. You're going to be dead. This wasn't my least favorite. I guess that's an endorsement, sorta. But it's something. Let's just go to that. How do you rank this one? Is this? It's not your best or worst, right?
This is right in the middle for me.
Okay.
Because what I would have liked to have seen, what would have made the game just a little bit better is if
Yeah.
you could have, if whenever you hit the target with a water balloon, if there would have been a little 100 that would have popped up or some sort of visual representation that you
Yeah.
did something right, that would have made a world of difference to me.
So next, this one here is this one here is the mother of all events on this, the snowboarding event. So it starts off by you're on the beach and you're on a helicopter holding you on the beach, and
Right.
they've got a cut scene where
Yeah.
the helicopter takes off and then you're flying the helicopter, and so it cuts away to a long scene where you're flying the helicopter like an idiot, and you have to fly it to the point where you drop off your guy. Now, at the very top of the mountain is a platform. If you drop him there, or if you drop him too low, he'll just bumble down the mountain to his death. And you have to
Yes.
start over. But if you drop him high enough you have to get up there pretty high so his parachute can open. See, because he's got a parachute.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you're on the mountain, you're on a snowboarding down Mount St. Death. This is actually called Mount Epyx in the manual. But your goal is to get down this steep mountain, avoiding rocks, chunks of the mountain that are missing, jumping big, huge gaps in the mountain, coming over logs, and other things that are in the mountain to stop you from getting down to the bottom. How did you fare at this one, Bode?
This one it's like two games in one, because the first part of the game is you're just trying to get to the point where you can get your guy off the helicopter and onto the mountain. So once I figured out that, because at first when I saw my guy bounce down, I was like, well, maybe this is it. Maybe it's just like, how much can you make your guy bounce down the mountain? But it wasn't until I watched a playthrough online that I realized that was in fact not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to get the parachute to open. Once the parachute opens, if you hit jump constantly, you'll do okay. You'll do to where you can make it to the bottom of the mountain. There's sort of a midway point where you have to do like a half pipe that's right out of the half pipe in the first California games, except it's impossible to control. But anyway,
Yes.
you do that for a while, and then you go onto the bottom part of the hill where the snow has gone away, and you see the rarely performed snowboarding on grass. Which is
And then beach.
yeah.
I love that. This is the most bonkers level. And there's a couple things I want to point out. Number one, you're parachuting down with your snowboard, which seems insane. But what I like is the helicopter's hanging around because occasionally, if you screw up, it lowers a hook and hooks you like a geek and lifts you out of the snow. You look like such a tool. And then, like you said, in the middle of this, just a ice half pipe shows up. And the funny thing about this boat, I never did any good at this, but the funny thing is, if once you wreck, your guys just laying in a heap, but you can keep gaining momentum, and so your corpse is going up and down. So funny. But at the bottom of the
and there's a lot of events in this game with a timer, looks like a clock. And the clock is just going nuts. It's going 50 miles a second. I don't know what that's for. I don't know why it's there.
I think the half pipe is sort of like like a bonus game that you play in between the top and the bottom
Right,
of the
but what is
mountain.
that clock telling you exactly?
Listen, the book don't tell me, and I don't know. I cannot do well in the half pipe. But the funny thing is, once your corpse, see right there, his corpse is down. The best part is at the bottom of it, you basically get flushed out like you're in the toilet. Here he goes, like a geek. He slides down head first, like a
And then he's on the grass. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I actually finished this a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And here's what I did. If you just you can move left and right on the mountain. If you move all the way towards the screen, you can go over all obstacles, and the only thing you have to worry about is jumping off the cliffs. And so you can get down pretty quick, and eventually you actually get down to the bottom of the hill. This event was stupid, hard to control, but I couldn't help but love it because it's the dumbest event I've ever seen in a game.
This is my favorite event. This is it. This was the best one. Yeah.
But I mean, it sucks. Don't get us wrong. It's a stupid event. And the thing is, you're going down the hill so fast, it's impossible. You remember in Three Stooges where Larry tried to return that radio so Curly doesn't get killed in that boxing match? That's what it reminded me of, except Curly would have to be going downhill at 1,000 miles an hour. That's basically what it was. A stupid event, but you're right. The fact that you're actually in the grass at the end of it, and it is the sand, it's so stupid. What does that do to your board to be going across sand? That can't be good for the bottom of it, right?
Yeah, I have no idea. No idea whatsoever.
It's a ludicrous event, but you can't not love it. It was so funny. So the next event, boat, and this is another one, bodyboarding. Have you ever been bodyboarding before?
I have. I've rented a bodyboard and been paddled out, as they say.
Yeah. I watched my kid get a bodyboard. We were at the beach when he was a little kid, and it was one of those deals where he'd take a run, he'd run as far as he could, but he wouldn't be in the water, and he'd just kill himself, and we'd all laugh at him. So bodyboarding has a great cutscene at the beginning of it where there's a dock, basically, and your guy comes, and there's people fishing off of it.
This is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Nowhere on earth does bodyboarding begin like this.
He comes running off this. And there's a broken piece of the dock. Can you imagine you're fishing? This geek comes by.
Don't mind me, guys. I'm just bodyboarding.
So on bodyboarding, the first part of bodyboarding is you're in a wave, sort of like in surfing. You know, right. and so you could do a few tricks, and you could also go out and get up on the lip of the wave if you know how to do it. And then theoretically, you're supposed to be able to do tricks up there, but I can never do one without getting washed away. And then eventually, as the wave crests, it becomes white water, and then at this point, it's almost like tubing or something. You're coming in sideways, and you're trying to avoid all this debris. It's all over the place, or people surfing, or sharks, all sorts of crap. Old women are out there on inflatables. What did you think of the second half of this wacky event?
Again, much like snowboarding, it's okay. At least I understood what I was supposed to do, and I could control myself. So this is my second favorite event, just because of the fact that you can actually finish it on a semi-regular basis.
This event I also like because it's so stupid. It's another one. But listen, there are some great parts in this. Like if you wreck if you get going over the top on the wave, it'll just show your guy washed up on the beach covered in like mud, and he looks like a geek, right?
Yeah.
If you hit something, you're just bored, just shows up on the beach. You're gone.
Right.
And but the best thing is, by far, is if you have victory. Watch this. He gets up, raises his hand. No one cares. No one acknowledges him in any way. He's just there on his knees, acknowledging how great he is.
Is this how you felt when you finished the 10K? Is that?
Exactly. You just nailed it. It's exactly the way I felt. But I mean, I can't help but not love this one too, because they put some work in it. They got little cutscenes. I mean, the fact that he jumps off that dock too is just, I thought that was funny.
That is funny.
I enjoyed this one. I'm with you. This is in my top two in terms of gameplay, but that ending is the best. And I will say, there's a lot of stock footage in this where the people they don't acknowledge nothing. That happens on more than one board. Oh, God, that was killing me. So the next event, Boat, is the skateboarding. Now this one has an awesome opening scene.
The opening cutscene in this game is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life.
So
I mean,
you're in like this
seriously, it's in the
alley.
top 5.
You're in this alley. It's been tagged on a heck, or I don't know where you're at. There's a big sign that says no skateboarding, and there's another fence. You can tell this beach is very much like Virginia Beach. It's been ransacked. There's broken crap everywhere, and but there's a fence that's got they've taken 2 of the slats out that form a skateboard ramp. And so to start this, you hit your button, and your guy comes careening through the screen, jumping, swinging, doing more than I could do in the actual game itself. And then you're jumping into the half pipe. But, Boat, please explain to the people what in God's name's happening here.
So in this game, you're playing Stun Runner. You're
I wish.
It's Stun Runner with no offensive weapons. You are either traveling along a half pipe in which there is no ceiling, or you're going into a tunnel in which there is a ceiling.
Yeah.
There are turns, but they really don't matter. The only thing that matters is you're trying to avoid the walls of the tunnels.
Yes.
Now, if you do not avoid the wall of the tunnel and you hit the side of it, you're treated to one of the most gruesome scenes I've ever seen in a game-style game before.
It's got to be the most gruesome.
What happens in a lot of these game-style games is that if you take a spill, it's usually pretty comedic. You're like in Skate or Die, for example. You fall off the half pipe, and like your helmet and your socks fly off. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
In this game, your body gets slammed against the side of the tunnel, and then you slowly slide down, and there's blood that smears down on the side of the tunnel, and then the next scene is literally you looking up from your own grave, and there's people gathered to mourn your death. You died playing California Games 2. Congratulations, buddy. Hope you feel like you got your money's worth on this one.
Man, those Californians slip dangerously, that's for sure. When my guy hit that wall, listen, I've played this game before, but it's been forever for the obvious reason because it's no good. So when I hit that wall the first time, and it showed me in my funeral, I was like, my God, this is the darkest moment in the history of games right there.
Yeah.
There it is. And you've got your board up there. And keep in mind that this is a game there was a game called Skate or Die that didn't have this sort of graphic death in it. So much like all the other events, like your death is in play. I mean, not just a good time, just not dying is in play. Now, when you take the death element out of this sucked, didn't it? I didn't like this at all. I mean, you could sort of do tricks, but it was so dangerous to attempt them that I never tried any.
Right, and there's a mini map that takes up half of the screen, so you only have half of the screen to play with.
Yeah.
Your position on the mini map is so minuscule that you can hardly see it at all. It's not something that you can glance over and look at, so it serves no purpose. There's a timer that serves no purpose. There's text that says fuzzy logic that serves no purpose.
I assume they were sponsoring the clock. That's why.
Maybe so. But this is a horrible event. This is my least favorite event in California Games.
This reminded me of in like I think it was the Games Winter Edition. They had that like they had like the sledding event that was like that was like this, except that was way better than this.
Yeah,
it wasn't as funny. Better. It wasn't as hilarious as it is in this, but it was way better because this sucked. It was horrible. Speaking of suck, let's talk about our last event, Boat. And the last event we're going to talk about is the old jet surfing. This is the event where you pick a jet ski out, and then you go to work. And by go to work, I mean suck. Because what you do here is this took. I'm sure this is the inspiration for Superman 64. Where they thought to themselves, hey, we're going to put some buoys out there and let you clumsily drive this crappy jet ski through them. Good luck, geek. There's probably 5 or 6 tracks, and you can pick different levels of power. But this thing was an uncontrollable mess for me. And I don't know if you can finish. Can you finish a course? I don't think you can. The instructions don't say you can.
What you can do is you can finish a series of checkpoints and then get a score. And so that's essentially what this is. This is one I will say, though, as you know, Aaron, I tend to be, I don't know, a hair biased towards the consoles some of the time.
Yeah.
But this is one of these that the California Games 2 on the Amiga crushes the Super Nintendo on the jet ski. And do you know why?
I can't imagine. I cannot
The
imagine
reason
how that's
the
happened.
reason why is because they use mode 7 on the Super Nintendo, so everything just looks super flat and
Oh.
super fake. And they couldn't use mode 7 on the Amiga, so they had to code it for real, and it just looks so much better on the Amiga version. Does it play any better? No. In fact, it plays better on the Super Nintendo because you got more buttons to work with. But if we're looking for looks alone, I wish that I would have asked you to pull up if you're listening at home, pull over the side of the car and look up the Super Nintendo version, just so you can see what I'm talking about. Because it looks markedly worse than the Amiga version.
I thought when you said that, I was surprised because I thought to myself, man, I would have used the old mode 7 on this. It would have been awesome. But you're telling me mode 7 made it suck.
It made it suck because it just flattened. Because what mode 7 does is it flattens and scales sprites to make it look like it gives an appearance of 3D.
Yeah.
But in this instance, because it was done so sloppily and so lazily, that it does not look good.
I will say this. The fact that this is better here, and it's horrible, okay? This is a ringing indictment of the Super Nintendo because this is the worst. This was... Okay, so we know what our favorites were. Was this your least favorite boat?
No. This was my second to least favorite.
Skateboarding.
My least favorite was skateboarding, and then this was a close second.
Okay, so now that we're here, we've went through all the events. Let's rank them from best to worst. Let's go from worst to best. So we both agree that skateboarding is the worst, right? And then we both agree that jet ski is second worst.
Right.
Hang gliding in the middle.
Yep.
Then boarding, and then at the top of the heap, the idiotic helicopter of death, a.k.a. snowboarding up the mountain.
We're 100% in step on this one.
I agree with you at every turn, Boat. It's amazing. We are right in line with each other. Now, having played through the competition mode, it also stinks. It's awkward. You know, Epyx was always there. Why did they change what they originally had? I liked it best. Remember, you could pick the flag, put your name in, have multiple players. They had the themes. They had opening ceremonies. It doesn't have any of that stuck in there, which I don't know why. Why not? Why can't you have opening ceremonies?
I mean, California Games didn't have any of that stuff.
Yeah, it should have had them too.
But what California Games did have was you could pick your sponsor, and you could pick some awesome sponsors: Casio, Ocean Pacific, Kawasaki. You know, this has none of that. This is the platonic ideal of a lazy sequel, is what this is.
So from what I've heard, when this was being made, Epyx was circling the drain. If you know what I mean.
Sure.
This is right when Atari and the Lynx and all that stuff was going down. The Handy. And so I've heard that this was like their last ditch effort, and then this game did terrible, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
And so and that was the end of that chapter. They were pretty much toast. So with all that said, you might be asking yourself, how did this do? How did this fare amongst the magazines of the day and on Lemon and whatnot? Well, the people at Lemon, the fine people over there, didn't like this game, Boat. 4.61, a beatdown. The people over at Hall of Light Lore scored this 62%. So they were a little more, and I think that's a little more in line with where I would put it. I think that I would come back and play a couple of these events, if anything, just for the hilarity of them.
Yeah, I agree.
The magazines of the day were not kind. Again, keep in mind, this was, you know how they were back then, and this had been out for 2 years on DOS when it came over to the Amiga. Amiga actually gave this a 69%. Amiga Format, 64%. Amiga Games, 59%. Amiga Joker, surprisingly, 68%. They were feeling froggy that day. Amiga Mania, brother. They loved it. 83% from Amiga Mania. And Amiga Power gave this a big 52%. CU Amiga 41%, and the 168%. The cumulative magazine rating for this game, 63%. Did we get any Discord action on this one, Boater?
We got a lot. Ricky DeRocher starts things off. He says, while the original California Games is a legendary title. There's a reason why the sequel is pretty much unknown. It stinks. The Jocko6502 writes, California Games is unique, fun, and rewarding to play even today. California Games 2 is a half-baked license grab that feels like a budget knockoff of the first one. In snowboarding, you get a helicopter minigame which delays the start of the main event. They threw in a half pipe midway down that's a poor imitation of California Games. In skateboarding, it's a hacked up luge event. Your skater can actually die, and they wasted disk space on a funeral screen. Bodyboarding, you get points for riding the surf a little. Good for you. Jet surfing, an Amiga driving game experience. Outrun can look down its nose at. That's true.
Sorry, it got me.
Yeah. Hang gliding. If blue screens are your jam, you'll love this. You can also fall off the cliff and die. No funeral for you, though. No copies on eBay. They all went in the bin. 4 out of 10. Morch writes,
wow.
California Games 2. I never knew this game existed, and I wish I didn't know about it. Tried the hang gliding. I kind of got the hang of it, but still no idea how to land it. Tried the snowboarding and couldn't really stop crashing, even after a few attempts. Bodyboarding was okay on the initial part, but got bored of the obstacle dodge session. Gave up any hopes of enjoyment on skateboarding. A solid disappointment with no thought on its design, except on the hang gliding to death. I think 3 out of 10. Jeff Hanna writes, a problem with sequels to minigame collections is that any of the good minigames were included in its original release. The original California Games had Hacky Sack, which says a lot about what its sequel will have. Pros, it runs. Cons, everything else.
Wow.
None of the 5 events are well implemented. All have horrible controls and ambitious goals. I had hope for skateboarding since it's a reimagining of the bobsled game from Winter Games. Unfortunately, with the 3D view taking up less than half the screen, it is still unplayable. This is shovelware. It cannot execute this, or that this shovelware cannot execute this well underscores how badly this game was written. I was unaware of this game before this week. Now I must live out the rest of my days knowing it exists. Shame on the game selection committee and the next 10 generations of their families. Shame. 10,000 seagull craps, says Jeff Hanna.
Man, calling out the game selection. That's got to be a first. I've never heard anybody do that.
And finally, Joe Aquat says, Aquat. I'm pretty sure he sent me an email asking me to pronounce his name correctly, and I think that's how you do it. Aquat. He says, I got my computer room put back together. Then after testing all the gear out, I loaded California Games 2. I had fun dropping the guy down the mountain from the helicopter. This concludes my review of California Games 2. So there you go, Aaron.
I love it. You know, somebody mentioned the eBay on this. I did look this up, and they are incorrect. You can buy this on eBay, but you got to bring your wallet. If you want to get the budget release from Kicks with the lightning bolts, you get that bad boy $20. Easy money. If you want the original release, $200 or best offer. So much like the helicopter, they're fishing right here. In this one. Any final takes on the California Games 2 boat?
I don't think so, man. I think I've said all there is to be said.
I would just say this concludes the game series. If you want to kill games, this is the game kill, everybody.
If you ask any Amiga repair technician what the most problematic component of a motherboard is, they'll undoubtedly mention capacitors. The electrolytic capacitors that shipped with the Amiga are 30 years old or older at this point, and each one is a ticking time bomb waiting to explode battery acid all over your motherboard, sometimes damaging it irrevocably. Don't wait. Replace your capacitors now. Full capacitor kits for every Amiga model are available now at retrorewind.ca. Don't want to attempt the repair yourself? Use their white glove recap service and leave the intricate removal and soldering process to the professionals using industry standard equipment. Use the promo code Amigos10 at checkout and save 10% off your cap kit or service. Remember, make retrorewind.ca your first stop for all your Commodore computer needs.
Amiga News.
All right, Aaron, it's time for some Amiga news. First thing coming up, Aaron, is they have there is a new Leisure Suit Larry inspired game that has just come out on the Amiga called Lefties, Stirred Not Solved. So this is kind of cool. They've taken Lefty's Bar, the iconic first location of the original Leisure Suit Larry game, and created a whole point-and-click adventure out of that one scene. Which probably means it's not going to be that long, which I like. And two, it's set in an area that I think I have a lot of good memories as a child from playing the original Leisure Suit Larry and hanging out at Lefty's Bar. So,
Do you really?
yeah, absolutely.
That's
I'm
amazing
excited
to
about
me.
this one. Yeah.
I don't know how to take this one if I'm honest. I mean, I like anything that they try that's different. I'm down. Leisure Suit Larry is a game. I will say that when we covered that game on this show, I had more fun with it than I thought I would. So maybe I need to reconsider. I mean, I just never played it when I was a kid that much. So maybe I need to reconsider my stance.
I would love it. I would love it if the game selection committee would choose Leisure Suit Larry 1. We play Leisure Suit Larry 2. It's time to go back to the original.
Yeah, I would be down with that. I'd be down with that.
Now, Aaron, you know what else the Amiga community is down with? Bringing ports of PC games that are first-person shooters to the Amiga. That's right. Duke Nukem 3D is available as an AGA RTG port by Novacoder. Aaron, were you a big Duke Nukem 3D fan back in the day?
I still am. I'll load up the old Duke. I mean, Duke stole a ton of like his swagger from Ash or from Schwarzenegger or from.
Yeah.
I mean, he's basically
lots of sources.
He's a generic, but I mean, his games are good, you know, for the most part. Now here we go. So this is a RT. It's an AGA. It's got to have an AGA and retargetable graphics, the double for this one to play this. I don't know. You know how I feel about this stuff. I mean, you could load up Duke on practically anything and play it at this point. So shoehorn it into a jacked up Amiga. It doesn't exactly fill me with delight, but for the people that don't feel with delight, good for you guys.
Yeah,
I hope you enjoy it.
Now, did the 4000, did that come with an 060, or is that only for accelerated Amigas that got that fast?
I don't think it came with an 060. I think it came with an 040.
Okay, so you gotta have a high end machine to make this thing run.
Does it say you have to have an 060?
An 060, that's right.
Holy smokes! See, I mean, we're leaving the building here. I suppose if you picked up that, you weren't here last week, but when we covered this new vampire standalone like Amiga, that Amiga Bill had the guys on his show, and it's got an 080, a simulated 080 in it, and it's got all this extra stuff. So I suppose if you bought one of those bad boys, you could play this game and feel happy about it. You know, listen, whatever toots your horn. I'm not going to be the guy that says you shouldn't do it. But, I mean, as for me, the Amiga guy who just played California Games 2 without retargetable graphics or an 060, like, I'm never going to play this on the Amiga because if I wanted to play it, I could play it on anything else. I play Amiga games on the Amiga, brother.
Exactly. Aaron, our next story is a site called Old Blue Workbench, and this is a workbench replacement for Amigas running Kickstart 1.3 with the following features. And basically what it does is it brings all of the quality of life improvements that you got with Workbench 2.0, but it leaves you with the pleasant blue and orange color scheme of the original Amiga, which a lot of people, including myself, really, really like. I'm a big fan of the original Amiga Workbench. So if you would think that this is something for example, if you'd like to lasso a bunch of icons and drag them across the screen, you can do that with Old Blue, something you can't do with 1.3. What do you think, Aaron?
You know, it's funny. I was never a big fan of the color scheme for this workbench until we did the ST show, and then I turned the corner on the color setup on this. Because it's the ST's colors are brutal colors on Jim. But so I'm okay with it. You know, hey, if it makes people happy and it works for them, good on them. Again, I don't toil much in the old workbench boat. You know, I play games, brother, just like yourself. But I mean, if you're into workbench, you want to set up your workbench to look nice. It looks good. I mean, it does have a nice look to it. There's no doubt.
Yeah. And one more story, Aaron. The CD32 Amiga Vision has a brand new, ready-to-go package for playing CD32 games on the Mr. Amiga Core. I'm going to be downloading and installing this tonight. This is there have been solutions for the CD32 on the Mister before, but nothing that runs as cleanly and as easily as this. So if you are an Amiga Vision disciple like I am, otherwise known as the Mega AGS, please do yourself a favor, download this evening. Is this something you're into too, Aaron?
Well, it's funny. I have the build on the Mister that supports CD32, but it is awkward. I mean, it was
Right, it's
shoehorned
awkward.
in. It's okay, but it doesn't work for everything. And I don't know if you remember, a couple months ago, I did a bunch of CD32 games, and it was hell of perdition getting getting some of them to run. I mean, it was killing me to try to get them to work. So I'm all for a straight up CD32 fully functional gimmick. I'm down. These guys do stellar work in their field. And so I'm going to be going and grabbing this package myself over the weekend, Boat, because the funny thing about the CD32, you want to get one of the things when you have a package like we've got already that has CD32 games in it, but you're not getting I want the sound, I want the full experience of the CD32 such as it is, and so this will be great. So I'm with you. I'm going to go get this immediately. I like what they're doing over there. They do it for other machines, not just Amiga too. If you nose around, I think they do I think they got like an Apple set up and some other ones. So these guys are really carrying the water for the rest of us here, and I personally appreciate it. So I think it's going to be great.
Yeah. All right, Aaron, that's going to do it for this week's news. What do we have coming up on the show next week?
Brace yourself, Boat. Oh, yes.
Supremacy.
It's
Your will
supremacy.
be done.
Yeah,
If
this
my
ain't
will
no
was done, we would not be
platformer.
playing this game. That's all I've got to say.
Well, I mean, listen, the thing is, yes, are we afraid to play this game? We are. Are we nervous about trying to figure it out in a week? We are. But we've sat in these chairs and been scared to death of games that turned out to be some of our favorite games. And this could be one of them.
That's true.
Boat.
This could be one of them. I'm going to keep an open mind and a tab open to the instruction manual for sure.
And the walkthrough. That's for sure.
Yeah. All right, guys. If you like us and you want to support the show, patreon.com/Amigos podcast gives you access to our Discord community and lets you pick the games we play every week. Let's see. We also stream on Twitch every Friday night, except when it's not Friday. Twitch.tv/Amigos podcast. We appreciate all of our Twitch subs, and we will see you next week. Until then,
Adios.
Amigos is made possible by contributions from listeners like you. Patreon supporters help choose the games we play, receive exclusive magnets, and get access to the Amigos Retro Gaming Discord server. Visit patreon.com/Amigos podcast if you'd like to support the show and join our community.